When I think of 9/11, I think of a tragic event that has happened in America, in a country that I've been to personally a few years ago, a country that I really enjoyed while staying there because I'd never been to America myself. But there's always this one thing about 9/11, one of the worst days probably ever in human events in history. I'm a person who loves satire, I'm all for it. However, when it comes to 9/11, even I don't feel comfortable talking about the subject, and I specifically do not feel comfortable people joking about the event that happened, etc. I don't even joke about 9/11, and that says a lot. If you know me, you know I like satire, but even for me, when it comes to people's lives getting taken away, I can't laugh about it, unfortunately. So welcome. Hope you guys are all doing well. Today I wanted to discuss and speak about 9/11. As you may know, a few days ago it was 9/11. I was first a little bit skeptical. Should I make this video or should I not make this video? But then I remembered, I don't think I made a 9/11 video last year. So we're going to discuss on how it happened, why did it happen, and who was or is responsible behind this terroristic attack that happened 21 years ago. On the September of 11, 2001, the attack, commonly known as 9/11 basically, were four coordinated suicide terrorist attacks carried out by the militant Islamic extremist network Al-Qaeda. Now, to this day, I don't know if Al-Qaeda is still active. To be honest, we don't really get much news about the Middle East really that much in the Netherlands. I'm not sure if I can say or vouch about the rest of the Europe, but here, Middle East is not relevant no more. They've been fighting since the 2000s, and I think most countries are sick and tired of what's happening. It's sad. I've always said, the only people winning from war is the government, because ironically enough, the government fund all the weapon, all this and that, and ironically enough, they never get killed on anything. They live in their beautiful mansions, this and that, got bunkers on their houses, while us regular people gotta fear for our lives and safety. Anyways, it's a tragic event. Number of deaths, it says 2,996. So let's say around 3,000 deaths. That's very heavy. If you know what happened, basically, the airplane or jet, whatever you want to call it, got hijacked whilst flying in the air, basically. Few people with bombs on them, basically, hijacked the airplane, committed a suicidal attack, and that's what caused multiple buildings, the World Trade Center, to collapse from the high floors. And man, I've seen these videos, LifeLeak, when LifeLeak was still a thing. I don't know what happened to it. I read that it got taken down 2 years ago. Don't know why, but you can find other stuff on gold websites, which, by the way, be cautious when viewing that. Discretion is advised, because the stuff you find sometimes on those websites is pretty damn gnarly, if I may say so. I have seen tens of videos of people jumping off the buildings because, you gotta remember, when these buildings got hit, these people didn't have any choice. They either had the choice of getting crushed by office buildings, falling to their death, or in a fire, because the jet fuels obviously exploded within the buildings. Now, a lot of people have mixed opinions about 9/11. Some people say this was an inside job. Some people say it was an unfortunate event. Could 9/11 have been prevented? One thing we definitely can agree on, it should have been prevented. This tragic event should have never happened. My theory on it is basically that this was a message, not a warning, a message to America from Al-Qaeda, basically saying, don't fuck with us. Because if you know, America had been fighting the Middle East for quite some time, and still to this day, countries around in the Middle East are fighting Al-Qaeda and the other groups of terroristic. I know what you might be wondering. Why, as a European, a non-American, am I interested in this topic? Because it is a topic just like the World War II. We should never forget, and this is something that obviously we'll never get forgotten. This is something that is very valuable in history lessons. Stuff like this needs to get passed on generation by generation so that we can mourn, show our respects to those who've lost their lives in those years. It's the same like World War I, World War II. We can never forget that history. We can never let history repeat itself. Letting you know that. And it's the same with 9/11. We can never let something like this happen again. Is this something that we, in this generation, this time with the technology we have, because you've got to remember back in the days 20 years ago, 2 decades ago, they didn't have all the technology as we have now, Back in those days, it was unheard of people shooting up airports, this and that. Nowadays, it's pretty common to get bomb threats, and when a bomb threat happens once a couple of years, it happens a couple of times a year in Amsterdam. People take it very serious because hundreds upon thousands of potential people's lives are at cost, even if it's fake. It doesn't matter, man. They take a lot of pride in security and securing airports. Now, I personally don't believe you can prevent something like this if it's well planned by multiple people, because there's no way one person can plan a bomb attack like this on an airplane. It's impossible nowadays. You'd have to plan a bomb in the airport itself, because this is a thing, and I'm just speaking out of experience, right? When you go to Amsterdam airport, yeah, sure, there's a couple security guards, a couple of military people there, but they don't check your body. If you don't act suspicious, you can walk there freely, and it is so easy. You leave a bag behind, or you put a suicide vest on, and you can take a lot of people's lives away. So the question is, what were the September 11 attacks? Well, let's go read this. The September 11 attack, better known as 9/11, were a series of airline hijackings and suicide attacks committed in 2001 by 19 terrorists. That's a lot. Associated with Al-Qaeda. It was the deadliest terrorist attack on US soil. Nearly 3,000 people were killed. That's just people. Think about the animals that passed away as well. I mean, that's just crazy, man. You're taking a walk, and then the next second a fucking airplane strikes the World Trade Center as you're walking. You've got to remember, it is so high. The roofs are collapsing. The glass are falling down on the ground, so people that are walking past the building or nearby get hit and die on the spot. Man, it's so sad reading this. The attacks involved the hijacking of 4 planes, 3 of which were used to strike significant US sites. American Airlines Flight 11 and United Airlines Flight 175 were flown into the World Trade Center, North and South Towers, respectively, and American Airlines Flight 77 hit the Pentagon. United Airlines Flight 93 crashed in a field near Shanksville. I never knew that. Very interesting. Pennsylvania. Of the passengers attempted to overpower the hijackers, the plane was believed to be headed to the U.S. Capitol building in Washington. So they prevented a potential massive attack again. And this is the thing that I personally have. I absolutely, at this age of me being at the age of 20, I don't like airplanes. I refuse to go to a foreign country with airplane. I'd rather spend a day in a car traveling, because I know it's safe in a car. Because, whoa, you're in the air. What the fuck you gonna do? Jump out with a parachute? But like, all jokes aside, I used to love going on an airplane as a kid. I think most of us got excited. But the more you grow up, the more self-conscious you become, and the more aware of what can happen if you're on an airplane. It doesn't matter, still to this day, anything could go wrong basically. How many people's lives were taken away on the 9/11 attacks? The exact number of victims, particularly the number of those taken away at the World Trade Center, I'm doing that so monetization reasons obviously, and I also want this video to spread around so YouTube pushes the content. However, the official death toll after numerous revisions, and not including the 19 terrorists, was set at 2,977 people. All the World Trade Center in New York, 2,753 people passed away, of whom 343 were firefighters. They have my respect, because they tried saving people. That's incredible. The death toll at the Pentagon near Washington, D.C. was 184, and 40 individuals passed away outside Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Crazy. This happened 21 years ago. Time flies so fast, And like I said, a thing like this must never be forgotten. It is so important. History itself is very important, so we can educate on kids into the next generation. It doesn't matter if you don't like history. Same thing with Napoleon, what happened in India, West India in the 1800s. History is very important today, and it shows that some people are retarded and don't know their history. So this is the thing, right? A lot of people speculate, as I mentioned in the beginning, this was an inside job. My conclusion? We don't know. We don't know. We know the fact that Al-Qaeda said, listen, we did it. We're behind the attack. Some people may think and argue, kind of foolish, to say that this may have been an inside job. Some people might say, why would the American government target its own people? Well, you don't know that. The only people that know why this attack happened were the people at that moment at the airplane, on the airplane. Because like I said, nobody survived that airplane crashes. Everyone dead on the scene, spot. And I've seen the content, it's very difficult to get these videos because YouTube bans them, it censors them. But you can literally, if you go on Gore websites, you can see people jumping off buildings. Very, very tall buildings. I don't know how tall, but very tall. Couple thousand feet. And it's sad, but I genuinely do believe and think this was a response back from Al-Qaeda to America, because they've been going back and forward. Did America deserve this? Absolutely not. No one deserved this. And there's the thing with war that I personally find, what is the purpose and point of war? People's lives taken away for what? Now obviously it's a different story if you defend your country, totally different. I'm not necessarily somebody who's for war. I'm all for defending your country and your nation and people, but sometimes we let our egos take over our pride. You know what I mean? Most of the time I think when there's war, it's about pride. It's all about showing who's the boss, when in reality, they're fighting for absolutely nothing. Obviously, the 9/11 attacks had a major impact on America, and when that happened, it also had a major influence and impact on the EU, the European Union. Since that attack, we have boosted up all the securities around all countries in the EU, Germany especially. Germany and France do not fuck around. We don't need it, bro. We take these bomb threats and everything very serious. Now, I don't know if there's ever been a actual plane crash in the Netherlands with a hijacker, but that's one of the reasons why I don't like going on airplanes. Not because of this. I just don't like airplanes anymore because it's fucking terrifying knowing that if there's turbulence, you can crash. There's a chance of crashing. Like, hell no. I value my life very, very good, if you know what I mean. Police and fire departments in New York were especially hit hard. Hundreds had rushed to the scene of the attacks, and more than 400 police officers and firefighters were killed. Can you just imagine? And not shot to death, killed because of glass falling from the roofs, from the ceilings, fucking furniture falling from the top to the bottom. People literally getting burned alive to death, crushed by stuff falling because of impact, airplane pieces. Very crazy, man. And like I said, pray to God this shit never happens again, man. So this was the video. Bit of a different type of video. Felt like I hadn't made a video like this in a while, and I want to know, share your experience with me. What type of impact does 9/11 have on you? Even though we weren't there at the time, probably most of us watching this video, it definitely has an impact on me, and let me explain how. Life is valuable. Life is very precious. Growing up as a kid, you don't really think about it that much. You think of joy and this happiness. I've come to realize the older I become, the more I start to value and appreciate my life for existing, just simply being alive and breathing oxygen in and out. It's a blessing to be alive. Whatever you're going through, you're alive. I've said and discussed this a lot of times before my videos. I often think about what is life in the afterlife. You know what I mean? Do you ever just take a deep breath and sit like, tomorrow ain't promised. Even if you live a healthy life, it simply ain't promised. And it shows this as well. Rest in peace to all these people, and obviously there were animals involved, highly likely here as well. Wouldn't surprise me. It's just like the MH7. It's just like the MH thing that happened in 2012 or 14, when these fucking Russian assholes shut down our airplane. A lot of people passed away. Yeah, there were a lot of Dutch people on that airplane. And crazy thing is, I've flown over Russian soil. I've been to Russia myself, only for 2-3 hours. St. Petersburg. Zenit, sorry. And what a fucking depressing country that is. Russia, I can officially declare one of the most depressing countries to ever be in, including North Korea and China. Communism is not the answer to live. They have no rights. You can't do as much as you think. If you think your life sucks in your country, you don't know what their life is. It took me 3 hours to understand why these people have so much depression and sadness. The government forces them to do what they want to. But regardless of that, that is not the topic. Thank you so much for watching this 9/11 video. And yeah, rest in peace to those people, man. It's a fucked up situation. Obviously, we all hope this won't happen again, but be prepared, man. It's going to happen again eventually one day. I'm not saying 9/11 is going to happen again, but anything can happen, bomb-wise. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.